Okay. Well, welcome everybody to the Fireside Chat. And I'm here with Chris, and it is Nee here. And we are going to be chatting with you guys a little bit today about compliance and how that is extremely important here in the crypto space and why FiatRexa is such an amazing and compliant project. So let's get right into it. So, just in general, what sort of things is FiatRexa doing to be able to stay up with the compliance standards?
Okay, great question. So first, I want to frame this into two key areas. There's like legal compliance, and there's the entire reason that legal compliance exists, which is like preventing fraud, essentially, making sure that good actors are protected and bad actors can be identified and mitigated. So that's the entire intent. So we've got these two sides. This side is legally enforced. This side is not. This side, however, is far more important than this side because it goes far beyond what is legally required. And in bad jurisdictions or bad structures, this side actually can sometimes try and mitigate actual compliance factors, where they try to make compliance something that protects bad actors and rewards uh, those bad actors for defrauding the good actors. So, first and foremost, uh, FiatRexa is on chain, so we are transparent. We're literally taking TradFi stuff where fraud is rampant. We're bringing it on chain to make it at least identifiable. Now, current fraud in the crypto space is unfortunately super rampant since TradFi started onboarding aggressively over the last half decade or so. Um, but fundamentally, crypto is actually far more fraud resistant natively. It's just people don't actually read. If you look into things, you can avoid the vast majority of fraud. There are some things that'll get you, and there are, of course, like just honest mistakes because people are experimenting and innovating. Like Thorchain is going through a bit of a moment, and their error was well known beforehand. Like a lot of people talked about it beforehand, but uh, it still happened, and that's just a byproduct of them not being as decentralized as they needed to be. So the discussion didn't occur beforehand, and an implementation was pushed through by bad actors inside of the Thorchain ecosystem. And a lot of good actors decided to walk away from the ecosystem, but have now returned. So that's like an honest mistake, is how I would frame that one. Um, Not actually blatant fraud, but then on the other side of that, what's busy happening and is topical today is like what Elon and Trump are doing with US aid, where TradFi processes have protected and are currently scrambling to protect rampant fraud and essentially bad actors having a heyday on everybody else's dime. So with FiatRexa, we would be a protocol layer that essentially puts us on this side of the equation of we are beyond compliant. Everything is transparent. Any concerned citizen can actually just look into anything because with tokenized fiats, with everything being on chain, you can literally just look at the wallets or you can look at all interactions with the smart contracts in the protocol and then identify wallets that you want to look at. And even though they're pseudonymous, you can begin to piece things together better. So you still get to keep privacy, but you also get transparency at the same time. That's the beauty of the pseudonymous system. Yes, intelligent and well-resourced state actors are identifying wallets and are linking personal identities to wallets and removing pseudonymity to an extent or removing privacy to an extent. But for the most part, that is focused on identifying bad actors at the moment. And there are other solutions, there are other chains, other protocols, other methods to preserving privacy when you're in a state that is governed or controlled by bad actors. So in the future, because you can never predict what states are going to stay good actors or bad actors, and ultimately they're just points of centralized power and authority. We should want today, if you're a good actor in a government or in an entity or just as an individual, you should want systems that protect good actors and mitigate bad actors, even if a state were to go rogue and become a bad actor. And FiatRexa is a system and a protocol that protects against bad actors at all levels. So when it comes to compliance in legal terms, in centralized TradFi terms, there are compliant businesses that have to get the correct registrations to perform certain behaviors that integrate with the protocol. So, for instance, if we want to provide banking services and we want to operate a bank, which is something that we're looking at doing inside of our protocol, we have to use a centralized entity that then purchases a banking license and then integrates into the protocol, which is very simply just saving that bank a bunch of development hours to have a tool and a suite of tooling that is far superior to what banks have today, or even the neobanks, the new fintech services. So FiatRexa provides a layer of compliance far beyond the general standard that we're used to. So let's hand over here. Take that as baseline. Then we have idealism up here, and FiatRexa is right around here. But as long as we keep focusing on idealism, and as we see new things coming out, as we see like the world change, because we have an interest in actually protecting people, and our protocol has a particular mandate, and this is why it's a common good protocol, we should be able to stay ahead of the mark. But even if we don't, even if there's an honest mistake, even if there's an error, even if a bad actor infiltrates the protocol somewhere, somehow, and nobody notices, which is crazy to think of, because how the heck could all of us be asleep at the wheel for that long to not notice something? But I mean, theoretically possible. If that does happen, we have insurance funds, and we have insurance mechanisms, and we have decentralization. So the damage that a bad actor can do is mitigated, because they can only impact a tiny fraction of a tiny fraction, which is fully insulated by insurance mechanisms. So the cohesive system essentially allows for an overhaul that is going to make TradFi more compliant and more honest and more transparent than anything we've had before. Like, if we had tokenized fiats, Elon wouldn't be having so much trouble finding all this fraud that's so embedded. And any of us would have been able to spot this stuff decades ago. We wouldn't be in a position today where we're now finding out like, oh yeah, there's like 3 million people who are 129 years old collecting benefits. Kind of weird. Not, and again, that's like just the tip of the iceberg. Like, there's so much more that's going to be coming out. Like, people who have been paying attention to just kind of the rules and what's been going on have known about this kind of fraud for a long time. And they know about much, much worse fraud that is in the pipeline to come. And I'm so excited to see it come out, because I think for us, like, we're the solution to the problem that people are finally beginning to realize is happening. This is great news, I think. Like, something
Yeah.
that sanitizes, right? Like, bring it into the sunlight, get some sanitization. Hopefully people become more aware, more cognizant. And again, because we're automating everything, we're putting everything on chain, our cost base is just way lower. So the profitability for all participants is way freaking higher. So yeah, that's...
Yeah, 1,000%, definitely. And that makes a lot of sense, because like there's yeah, you touched on a lot there. And like if we look at even just okay, what's going on right now with the Doge team and how they're taking everything apart and looking at what's going on with USAID, it's like, okay, there was so much money that was being siphoned out of there, going into places that nobody had an idea about. And when we did find out, or well, we haven't completely found out everything, we're seeing that so much money that could have been spent in places that would have made more sense was just not spent. And it's like, this is why having the DAO system is so important, because then we can actually look at our treasury and be able to allocate funds based on things that the DAO votes on, as opposed to just one centralized person being like, okay, we're going to write this little piece of paper and we're going to send some condoms to Gaza, or we're going to send some supplies to this place, and we're going to do this and that, and hide money in certain places. It doesn't make any sense for those things to be able to happen if compliance is there, which kind of leads me into my next thing about how protocols are able to really mitigate a lot of the problems happening in TradFi. Because how, like, this kind of ties into the Libra stuff as well. It's like humans, their nature, and how they tend to influence things when they get a lot of centralized power. Why do you think building FiatRexa as a protocol is the most effective way to achieve this overall system of common good?
It's incentives, to be honest. It's incentive. It's like sticking carrot kind of stuff. If Okay, so I'm going to use like the example of like, let's say we're paying X million dollars to find out how fast a shrimp runs or something like that. Like, for whatever reason, for the FiatRexa protocol, the DAO is like, yes, we need to do this project. This is important. Well, if we decide that that's important, and then the bill for it is unreasonable and just like stupid, anyone in the protocol can be like, you know what? I have a counter proposal. I'll do it for 10% of that cost. Why are they interested in doing that? Because the protocol is going to get robbed, which means they get robbed. There's a strong, plus they're also getting paid to do the task. Like you earn out of doing the task. You're doing the proposal, right? You're doing the bounty. So our bounty system, in conjunction with the decentralized protocol thesis, or decentralized common good protocol thesis, essentially with the contributor system, blah, 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 the combined functions essentially make it so that when there's something that needs to be done, because things always have to be done, and even with a fully autonomous system where we automate as much as possible and we integrate agents to fill in gaps in due time when they're sufficiently capable, there will likely still always be these little nuances where humans have to get involved. I cannot see that going away anytime soon. If there is a function that humans need to fill, and the price of filling that function is $100 million, and other members in the protocol are willing to do it for 10, and they can do it profitably and survive, we essentially restore capitalistic processes. There's actually competition. People are allowed to actually participate. They're not barred because of bullshit, which is a very different state to the modern world and economy, where you're just simply not allowed to participate. Oh, you can fix this problem for 10% of the cost or less? We're just going to fucking shadow ban you and blackball you and talk shit about you and pretend you don't exist and lie about you and blah, 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 all the crap that's everywhere in the modern world. So sunlight sanitizes, again, right? Like, this is essentially what's happening. With Libra, you could kind of tell that was a scam if you looked into it a little bit, right? There were some telltale marks. Like, you could look at the holdings of the wallets because it's on chain. You could actually do the research. People don't, but they can. They're just not used to having that freedom of responsibility. Like, they're actually able to be responsible for themselves. We've been raised for the most part today in a world where you are bubble wrapped and you're not allowed to look after yourself. You are told what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do, and you're not given any insight. You're not given any transparency. So I do understand why people in the crypto space fall for scams, because that's what they're used to in the TradFi space, and they're not used to having the freedom and the control to verify things on their own. Like, there's this whole expression in the crypto space, like, trust but verify, right? You can verify now for the first time in history, as far as I'm aware. Like, verification to this level, auditability to this level has never been available. Like, I could be proven wrong. I don't know for 100%. But
no, you're 100% right. Even for myself, because I've been involved in trading a lot recently. You can see it. You can look at a project. You can take the contract address for the project, and there's tools out there and available. I'll even drop some in the description for some people if you want to be able to look into if a project is bundled, wallet bundling, and whatnot. How many, how much of the token supply does each of these wallets hold, so that you can see that. Like, having that information allows you to know and understand what is actually happening with the project. And then obviously, if a white paper is published and the amount of tokens that are in certain wallets don't line up with certain things that are in the white paper, then you can tell, okay, there's something that's happening here. There's things that are being manipulated a certain type of way so that a certain outcome can be achieved. Yeah, that's why it's extremely important. That's why people say do your own research. It is so important. And doing your own research is more than just looking at if something has a website, because a lot of projects out there got a website. It's not that hard to make a website these days. There's so many no-code tools that are out there. It's really not hard to make a project these days. There's a lot of cookie cutter project tools that are out there that for a small bit of dollars, you can create a project. But what is going to make a project be here today and actually be here tomorrow as well is what is actually the foundation, what is being built. Yes. Okay. If you have the actual project that's there, you have the ethos, and then, okay, now you're building on top of it the products and the services that are going to actually help generate revenue for the entire protocol. Yeah. If you have this that's actually there, now you're actually creating a system to continuously generate income, as opposed to all of these things that are out here where it's like, okay, you put out, even let's say back to the NFT times, JPEGs. We know it, the actual function of what an NFT is supposed to be used for. Non-fungible token. You can use it for so many different things that are so much deeper than just a JPEG. Yes. But at the same time, people are leveraging these things to be able to create a certain type of craze, to be able to, more or less, to be honest, scam people. That's the reality of it.
100%.
Right? There's no value behind the thing. It's just money in, money out, right? So Yeah.
100%. It's sustainability, like actual sustainability. If you design a system well, you're not greedy about it, and you're actually like just transparent from the get go, and you're doing things right. As we've learned, it makes things a lot harder, but it makes it sustainable long term. Like, yeah, the startup is harder. You don't have like the get rich quick narrative. You don't have like all this stuff that really engages people, unfortunately. But I think intelligent people, good people, long term are slower to adopt things maybe in some cases, but are once they have the ability to verify things, then they're going to be more into it. And it's like this is a shift in state of mind, which is fairly substantial, where instead of keeping all your money in a bank where you're at huge fucking risk and your money can just be taken at any time and you don't really actually own your money at all, now you can have crypto, right? But still you have the issue of like you got to pay your bills in fiat, like that's not going to go away either. Like no government is giving up fiat control in any near future that I can see. Like even I think it was what was that nation with that they had like the crypto mine, they made Bitcoin legal tender, El Salvador.
Oh, El Salvador.
El
Yeah.
Salvador, yeah. They're essentially being forced to backpedal a little bit on crypto as legal tender. Not because
Hmm.
there's something wrong with Bitcoin at all or crypto at all, but because there are powers that be, which are very influential and can apply pressure to El Salvador and force their hand. Even if it's in the best interest of their population, their country, and all that other stuff, they can't just do things. That's not how the world works. We might think it works that way, but it don't. So I think this is the beginning of like it's a stepping stone. It's a middle ground. It allows people to actually own their money and have control over their money in fiat terms because they got to pay bills in fiat terms, and it bridges the gap between crypto and TradFi, fixing issues on both sides. So we're in a pretty good position. We've got a good sustainable process, and we're also pioneering new ways that people can build value and get a share of value because it's all in contracts. It's all in code. It's all encoded. Like it is what it is. There's no, you have a contract making you a promise for something. You have to go to court to get it enforced. But if you can't afford a lawyer, then you're just kind of shafted. Or you might get unlucky and your lawyer might be bad, or your lawyer might get bribed, or all these other things that happen all the goddamn time that just screw you over. Smart contracts can't get bribed. Smart contracts can't have their kids kidnapped and threatened in order to compel certain behaviors. There are limits to what bad actors can do in this situation, and we can continuously limit what bad actors can do. We can force them out of the system and also make it so that the system just isn't appealing to them in the first place. On top of that, yeah, it is. It's not get rich quick, but it is highly goddamn profitable. Like the rewards are insane. Like if we get a super small percentage of the market, like 1%, we're looking at annual dividends per token of our utility token, which are converted to, assuming 100% of them are converted to contributor tokens, and you're a contributor earning your contributor share. That's like $50 a year per token. That's nuts. That's insane. That's a lot of money. It doesn't sound like a lot per token, but there's 100 million tokens, and that's only 1% on one product or one protocol unit. When we implement 9 of these units that we're aware of today, that goes up even more. I could probably double it. Maybe not double it because there's one unit which is very, very, very productive relative to the others. But the point is, like, we can keep adding on these other units, these protocol units, and keep scaling. There is no ceiling per se. We can keep building as a group, as people. We don't have to stick to a super narrow base. We can kind of expand as we want. So as long as we're staying sustainable and transparent and fair, and we've got that all hard encoded, we're in a good place. Like something I will mention though is like a drawdown right now is like we haven't published the DAO contract because if we have an error in there, it's a really big deal, and we need to first verify that the market actually wants us to do what we're doing. We need to get more contributors in the door, and we need to get more people interested. We've got everything in through a multi-sig, so there's no single person who has control. I'm one of the signers on the multi-sig, but that doesn't mean that I can actually do anything because I want to. Like just trying to get the advertising dollars out because we withdrew 2,500 from our treasury to begin doing some marketing and advertising experiments to try and grow our contributor base. Maybe we throw an ad on this video. I don't know. We'll see what we do. I have no idea just yet exactly what we're going to be doing. I know we're doing experiments though. So we're going to be experimenting using that funds, but I had to go and ask everybody else and be like, hey guys, can we we use some of these funds to try and drive some eyeballs to what we're doing? Ultimately, when we get the DAO running, after we get like more contributor signups and we have, I'd say like around 500K of initial sales, that allows us to set up some of our TradFi infrastructure, and we can, at that point, we should really have the DAO infrastructure in place as well. But we can pay for those audits, because those audits cost anywhere from like, I think the cheapest one I've seen is about 15 grand. But I think our protocol is far too advanced and large for that to actually be enough. Like we're probably kicking towards 150, 200 grand for a robust audit from a good auditor who actually knows what they're doing. Because there's also a lot of auditors who just have no idea what they're doing. We'll probably want to go through like Open Zeppelin or somebody else who's like contributing a lot to the space and is like proven beyond doubt at this point in my mind that they are genuinely committed to the ethos of crypto, which is like decentralization, transparency, doing things on chain, and putting the power back into the hands of the people, not into a few elites who don't give a crap about the benefit of society or individuals. So I think that's going to be like another thing people can look out for in projects, right? Like if you actually do what you say you're going to do. If we say, oh yeah, we're going to be a DAO. Oh yeah, we're going to do these things. Oh yeah, we're going to set up multisig. And then we didn't set up multisig, that would be a red flag. Oh yeah, we're going to set up like the on-chain process so that all of our stuff is automatically decentralized. So we have like 8 smart contracts deployed at the moment where we've got our token, we've got our contributor token, we've got our reward pool, we've got our reward distribution, we've got all these things. You can actually go and read our smart contracts right now on chain and see that we've actually put in the infrastructure. It's present. It is there. We've even proven it by having we have that community reward section where 5% of the total supply of utility tokens is airdropped to early contributors. We paused it again. We mentioned this in a prior video, and I've said it a bunch of other times, but just for clarity, because someone might be watching this for the first time. We paused it because we got very few contributors at the moment, and it would be unfair for us to get all those reward tokens. It would be very centralizing for that behavior to continue. So we paused it to the detriment of ourselves because it's to the benefit of the protocol and to the world at large. When I think we're going to wait until we've sold all of our utility tokens before we restart the community incentives. But again, that's just like, we can just vote as a group. Like when we actually have 100 or 1,000 contributors, we can readdress this. And we can be like, oh, should we put this on in order to attract people or in order to reward those who've already engaged or something like this? Beyond just like the fact that the tokens are only 50 cents right now, whereas like when we list, it's over $2. So there's already an inherent benefit there. Plus, if you're a contributor, you can be earning tokens from the earn pools at the moment as a developer or what have you, which is where like 25% of the total token supply exists. No, more. I apologize. I think it's like 35% of the total. I haven't looked at the tokenomics in a while. I've been focused on like trying to get us contributors. But the tokenomics is available. Anybody can go look at all this stuff. It's all on, like we have a nice spreadsheet to make it easy to read. We have it all on chain in case you care about checking everything on chain, which you should. Verify, please.
Do your research.
Yeah, do your research. I won't give you the resources. Just like check it out. Like verify the stuff. Don't be silly. Don't get scammed. Don't buy a meme coin and get rugged again. Don't buy like a quasi utility protocol that isn't actually doing things transparently, isn't actually doing what they say they're going to do. Like, people, be freaking smart about this, please.
Yeah, don't go buy an AI bot that's supposed to scan the market for you. It's not going to do it.
Yeah, it doesn't work right now. Like, yes, but the potential is there, but like, look at the execution. Does it actually work? Does it actually do what it's supposed to do? Like,
oh, not consistently.
Like, the proof is in the pudding, as they say, right? Like, that's essentially where we're at. And we've got some of our pudding in place. We don't have all of our pudding in place, but we're going to keep adding more and more and more. And if we continue to do, as a group of people, as contributors, what we're supposed to do, that's a good thing. That should engage more people. And we're asking more people to engage. We want more contributors who are interested in this kind of line of thinking of like, let's fix this problem. Because like, you know, you can put 50 mil in a bank account and it can just be taken from you and you have no recourse. You can even, that could be a government contract.
Yeah. And we've seen it happen in 4K.
Yeah, in 4K, high res, 8K, let's go. the world is not good right now. And if you're a good actor and you're just kind of existing and doing the same old, because you're like, oh, I haven't had my bank account's funds drained yet. That's good. You're in the majority. It's a fantastic situation. But it's a shrinking majority, and it soon will be a minority. Do you want to be on the side that finds out firsthand when you lose everything, or do you want to be on the side that is a little cautious, maybe hedges themselves a little bit, and then actually has money when it does happen, instead of losing
Mm.
everything? It's essentially where it's at. You're either at maximum risk exposure by not engaging, or you can put a tiny amount into this protocol and back this situation, and you can hedge yourself. Or honestly, just buy Bitcoin, hedge yourself with Bitcoin. But then you're still dealing with the fact that you need to be able to access that Bitcoin to pay your bills in your local fiat, which, if you're new to crypto, you probably don't think that's a big issue because centralized exchanges, for the most part, are working pretty well right now, and you're able to move back and forth, for the most part, pretty okay. But if you've been in crypto for a little while, you know that's not a consistent state. At any point, they can shut down those pathways. The back and forth can be frozen and limited to just special interests. And if you're not a special person, if you weren't born into the right bloodline, tough shit. Whereas the FiatRexa, it's not a thing. The process is open. It is transparent. It is fair. It is very radically different from anything we have right now in the traditional
Yeah,
financial
it
world.
is 100% for the people and by the people in the sense of that's what really makes it a common good, right? Like, just like in the tragedy of the commons, like if we know that there's only 3 fish that are going to spawn, everybody's going to get 1 fish, you know?
Exactly.
3 people there. We make sure everybody's able to eat equally. That keeps the entire ecosystem sustainable and clear.
Well,
And
maybe we breed those fish a little bit first. We eat berries or some shit in the meantime. When the fish population's up to like 30 fish, we start having some fish.
yeah, yeah, I feel that. Let the treasury grow.
Yes,
Too
exactly.
many people just cheating early, trying to just, they get a little 2x gain and they're ready to just tap out of the market. It's like, no, you have to understand the vision that's there. I get it with a meme coin.
Yeah, I mean
It's
it's get rich quick, right? Like everybody wants like $100,000 today. They don't want like $1 million tomorrow. It's a human bias. What's that expression? Like a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, or something like that, or 3 in the bush, something like this. I don't know the expression.
mm,
I know there's an expression like that. I've heard it before. But yeah, ultimately though, it is actually way better to have a lot more coming in the future in a guaranteed programmatic like fashion where you can guarantee it. Like you can see it all on chain. Like the more risk factors you can mitigate, the more certainty you can provide, the better it is. And like I think it's probably more responsible and intelligent and safer and prosperous to take ongoing payments into the future. Because if you get $1 million today, you get mugged tomorrow. If you take $1,000 today and every other day for the rest of your life, even if you get mugged tomorrow, you're only losing $1,000. You have to wait a few hours until your next payment, and then you get your next little piece, and you're chilling. It removes this problematic area of risk that you have with capital. Because even if you're holding it, there are risk vectors. When you have cash flow, it changes the game. Your risk vector falls off a cliff. And by having the protocol designed around a cash flow thesis and designed around cutting costs and radically boosting profitability, people are in a better place. And again, like with the compliance side, there's the legally compliant stuff, which is a very low bar and often has bad actors inject things that prevent actual compliance, like actual transparency, actual fairness, actual accountability. So we're over here and compliance is over here. We still have to do all these registrations because we still need some TradFi functions. Like we're still integrating with central banks in order to provide fiat functionality, because fiat by its very nature is hyper centralized. We're just making it as decentralized as possible and applying decentralized principles, because there are mechanisms in place in the traditional finance world that are many centuries old, which provide really nice protections because there are these old laws, these precedents that have been set that are strongly defensible in court. The other thing is, like, as an individual, you have to go to court by yourself. As a protocol, with all of our decentralized bits and bobs, if bad actors, even at a state level, come after an individual or the protocol, we can defend ourselves because the protocol can retain lawyers and go to court. A protocol can retain security and protect people. As an individual, that's not so feasible. But at a protocol layer, with all of us together, it's very feasible. And it's actually negligible. So it changes the game. It changes the power structure, puts the power into the hands of the people, which does present a risk factor because bad actors are not going to like that. But with Elon and Trump chasing the bad actors out of the market right now, I think they got bigger fish to fry. We are chilling. We are Gucci. We're just kind of like coming up behind them so that we build a solid foundation. So it makes it really hard for the bad actors to push back. As Elon and Trump push it forward and push these bad actors out of the marketplace, and starts to shine a light on the swamp, the swamp won't be able to just recloak themselves and reveal all of their rot. The rot won't have anywhere to persist if we can get this protocol stood up and in place ASAP. If we can get it up in time and we can have it structured correctly, well, it is structured correctly. If we can have it like integrated so people are using it, like if we have 1 billion users this time next year, then the swamp has no chance. That's it. It's over for them. They're never coming back. We will have critical mass at that point. There's just no way for them to ever make their way back. If we have 1,000 users, we can stop it to an extent. Those 1,000 users are safe, but the rest of the market is still going to be screwed. So I think we're in a good position, but we do need to get more contributors engaged, because at the end of the day, if no one cares, then it's all for naught. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to do anything. But I think people do care. They're trying to survive, and there's a lot of things to worry about. So we've also addressed the survival problem, right? Like, become a contributor, contribute a little bit, work once, get paid indefinitely. So that takes the survival function off the table, which means people have more time to think about these things, to pay attention to these things, and also to live life. Like, spend time with your family, have kids, spend time with your kids, go on vacation, travel a bit, do things. You have time freedom. That time freedom unlocks your ability to then look into things. And I would hope, or it's my assumption at the moment, which I think is a reasonable one, that if people are contributors in the FiatRexa ecosystem and they're getting cash flow out of it, that they will pay attention to the ecosystem and to the protocol. And if something bad pops up, they'll be like, hey guys, what the fuck? And that's it. As long as one of us points to something, the rest of us are going to be like, what are you pointing at, my guy? Let me look at that. And then the rest of us look at him going, hey, that's fucked up. That's not good. Problem solved right there. Because we're simply aware we can vote against it. We can change it. We can cut that off right away. We have a pause function built into our protocol. So if there is something that's really bad, it takes a smaller number of participants. I think we're at a low percentage. I think it's like 15% or something of votes just have to go through to pause. So it's a very small number just to pause things. So if something critical is happening, and it takes us a day to realize, like, for whatever reason, no contributors for 24 hours notice this bad thing is happening, our reaction time would be pretty quick. Like, there's no way to properly make it instant, because that would then provide a risk factor for bad actors. If bad actors could do something instantly, well, then we're hooped. There's no reaction time. So unfortunately, it's like a double-edged blade. We have to allow leniency and require multiple participants to actually engage with something. Otherwise, that becomes a risk factor in and of itself. So I think we're in a good position.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's completely awesome. I'm excited for everything to come. And like, as you were saying, we just need more contributors. So guys, definitely, if you find this interesting, you find the things that we're discussing interesting, the topics, everything that we're building here with FiatRexa, definitely tap in with our socials and tap in with the contributor program. This is something where you can do a little bit of work, and gain some tokens. And from there, your interest will just slowly grow. As the protocol grows, it tends to just attract more people. That's typically how it tends to go. That's how it went with the early days of a lot of different projects, like Ethereum, for example, BNB. It started off people, grassroots, and then it slowly grew into something that the retail market slowly began to accept on a large scale. So we're looking to do the exact same thing here.
Exactly. Just build on that point to make it really clear for people who might not know the full history. people who contribute to Bitcoin in the early days and get paid like a few $1,000s, that's worth millions today. Same in Ethereum. They contribute a little bit, earned a few $1,000s worth of Ethereum. It's worth millions today. You contribute a few $1,000s to FiatRexa. We hit our goals. We execute. Could potentially be worth millions to you in the future. Potentially. Like not instantly. Like for Ethereum, it went from what you were earning in 2014, 2015, 2016. And then it really started to get going and started to get cracking. It's like 2021, let's say, is when you really cross that line to like, oh, okay, yeah, I got capital now. Same thing with Bitcoin, right? Like in 2010, 2011, 2012, when you're contributing, it might not have looked like very much, but all of a sudden here today in 2025, it's substantial. We would call those people rich. So the same opportunity is present here. It's just in a manner that's actually cash flowing. So it's not just you earn it and it's done. Like with Bitcoin, you earned it, it's done. There's no yield functionality baked into that ecosystem or that protocol. Same with Ethereum. Although Ethereum does actually have proof of stake, so there is actually kind of an earn function there through like transaction fees and things like this. Inflation as well is a big one for the Ethereum network. We don't have any inflation in our network. Ours is purely profits, productivity gains. That's it. Because what we're doing is highly valuable and everybody uses it every single day already. Like you pay to store your money with a bank. You pay to transact your money with a bank. You pay to do all these things through centralized entities, custodians. Instead, you'd be doing this through you. You are the custodian. You are in control. You choose what you engage with. You can not be excluded from a product. You can read the smart contract and engage with it at your discretion. It's up to you. You can do what you want. That's a very different way of doing things. And it actually really empowers those who care to become informed. If you are an informed participant with FiatRexa, you are a superhero. If you're an informed participant in the TradFi world, you're just pissed off.
And that's powerful because especially with you bringing up the whole thing of like you being able to be your own bank, because I know that the TradFi people love using the life insurance policy strategy to do that. And it's like, it's so interesting, you know, the amount of capital and what you need to do to put in to create that ecosystem for yourself when you can do the exact same thing here at FiatRexa for like a tenth of the cost.
And it's more, you have more tooling available to you, and it's more accessible. And it's like, there is no 100-page terms of service document you got to read through. There's a smart contract, and you can literally, like, one of the really good things that AI, LLM-based AIs are good at right now is you can feed it in your smart contract and be like, what does this actually say? And it can give it to you in plain English, or Mandarin, or Persian, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, put in whatever language you want, and, like, Farsi, I shouldn't say Persian. It's like saying Chinese instead of Mandarin. But you can put in whatever you want in code terms and get it out in like human readable language. You don't have to be technologically inclined at all anymore. Like you should probably, like I think it's a hygienic thing to know how to do these things. It's kind of like you don't have to be a master chef, but you should know how to make yourself food, you know? Like you don't have to be like a literary master or a great novelist or anything like that, but you should know how to read and write. Well, you don't have to be a techno bro or like a technologist or I don't know, whatever other terms people apply to people who are technologically, like a developer, what have you. You should know how to read a little bit of code. You should know how to understand how that stuff works a little bit. Like you don't have to be like a crazy technical person to know how a computer works. You know, like it's just hygiene, functionality. Like these are things you interact with every single day. You should know how they work. It's healthy. It's important. It's responsible to be informed.
Yeah, 100%. It's like when, you know, you tell people if you're driving a car, you should know how to just, you know, change a tire.
Change your oil. Like they're basic
Change
things
your oil.
you know how to do. Yeah.
You don't need to be a mechanic, but you should know these basic things that are going to allow you to actually upkeep the thing that you use every single day. It allows you to have access to every single other thing that you do throughout your day. Which, if you think about it, at the end of the day, your money, your fiat, is what allows you to do every single thing that you do up to, Yeah, today. So understanding the different functionalities and how you can be able to leverage your fiat in the most effective ways is something that you should learn how to do.
100%. Yeah, like I think we talked about this on another video. We talk about it a lot, but just to restate and build on your point, like money is now a common good. If you don't have money, you can't get food, you can't get water, you can't get shelter, you can't get clothes, you can't like money is not just a measuring stick anymore. It's not just a way to measure and transact value. It is the exclusive medium to access everything. Like that's just what it is. Like even like people might be like, oh, we'll barter. Well, that doesn't work. And even if you were to be bartering, like in Canada, for instance, that's a taxable event. If you barter, if you trade service, like let's say you farm cows and I have carrots, and you want carrots and I want cow, and we exchange. I give you a bushel of carrots, you give me a slab of cow. That's a taxable event, which we have to pay in fiat. Because we're in Canada, you have to pay in Canadian fiat. So you still need money even then. You still need fiat even then. Like it's an inescapable situation. Like this is the state of the world. It is what it is. We should make the best of it. We should protect ourselves as effectively as we can, as prudently as we can. So yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. We just need to get more contributors. So and again, we baked in all the stuff into the protocol. So like if you become a contributor and you are good at social stuff and human stuff and networking and communicating and all that kind of good stuff, you can get paid for just doing that. You just send people your contributor link and you get 10% of their protocol fees for life. Uh, if they then refer someone else, you get 5% of their protocol fees for life because we have a total of a 15% commission that's just two tiered. And that's because, like, in sales terms, like in sales teams, you have the salesperson who makes the lion's share of the commission, and then you have the sales manager who makes a piece on theirs. So some people are good at training salespeople and managing salespeople. Some people are good at marketing. Some people are good at education. Some people are good at tech support. It's like everybody's good at different things. So by having a system that supports all of these people to make their piece in their own way, so everybody gets paid, I think we're in a really strong position for long-term growth. We just have to get the first group started. We have to get that initial community baseline. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Basically, you could say that's going to be our pilot group where we'll be able to fully be able to grow the extent of our protocol and also see it, yeah, just do amazing things from having the different minds come together and mastermind how we can make this something amazing.
Agreed. Agreed. That's also like the founding contributors for like Bitcoin and Ethereum also end up getting a lot more opportunities. You know, like if you're a founding contributor for FiatRexa, you're one of the first 100 or 1,000 people. That becomes a big deal. Like there's even a dude that I'm aware of who's like pretty smart, pretty chill dude, Noah Kagan, I believe his name is, who's like employee number 13 or 30 or something at Facebook or Meta now. And that became like his big breakthrough moment because that became a proof of who he was and what he could do as an individual. If you were an early contributor in something, that proves you out as an individual because first and foremost, you identified an opportunity. That puts you in a minority subsection of the population right away. If you're someone who can identify an opportunity and see something that other people can't, that's a valuable behavior. It's a valuable characteristic or trait that anybody who's doing anything important cares about. So you can verify yourself simply by becoming a contributor on FiatRexa, and you've now put yourself ahead of the market on that basis alone.
Hmm.
There's like so
Yeah,
many benefits. It's ridiculous.
yeah, 1,000%. And the coolest part as well is you get to work with a team of so many diverse and extremely well mannered and well skilled professionals. Like,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
you don't typically see a lot in a lot of professional spaces. Like a lot of times, depending on the market that you're in, it can be kind of cutthroat, and people don't really support you as a group, especially in entrepreneurship. It's usually very difficult to find a tribe or a team of people that you can actually learn and grow with.
100%. Because a lot of people are just trying to get rich quick, right? Like they're willing to cut people down in order to get ahead. And in our case, we built a protocol where that's not possible. Uh, th- Even if I were to become corrupted, It's not possible. If you were to become corrupted, it's not possible. We're just equal contributors, just like anybody else. We're all on the same baseline. There is no controlling factor. And like, I think Vitalik was doing really, really good at this for the most part, but the market kind of forced him a little bit to take on the figurehead role. Um, I think humans still like that. They like pointing to a figurehead and being like, that person, they're in charge. But I mean, in Ethereum, that's actually not true. Right? Like Vitalik isn't in charge. He still has to get consensus. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. It doesn't like whatever goal he has is not possible without that consensus. Consensus. Thankfully, he's a really good person, so he's like that is his goal initially. Like he doesn't want to actually be the figurehead. He's just doing it because he has to. God bless him. Like he's doing something that sucks in order to benefit the majority, and he's made a huge positive impact on the world as a byproduct of that. Same thing's present here. Like if you are great and you like doing presentations and talking to people and all that kind of stuff, please come and become a contributor for the love of God. I'm begging you, please. Because I don't like doing these videos very much. God bless you, Nia, because I know you're putting yourself out there too. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, we need people who want to talk about things. We need people who want to build things. Um, yeah, I think what we're doing is important. I know what we're doing is important. I don't just think it. It's easy to verify. So if you are someone who actually wants to make the world a better place, or if you're someone who just wants to make more money, or if you're someone who wants to like just improve themselves, like this is a huge opportunity for you because it's a space where you can do all these things, and it's all kind of like correlated. There's no way to contribute and get nothing because you have to acquire the contributor tokens to be a contributor. Um, so we don't allow like pure charity, unfortunately. But I think that's also important too, because otherwise there might be people like myself who are self-sacrificing by their very nature, in which case they want to just give and they don't worry about what they receive. That's not sustainable. You will run out of rope. You will hang yourself. So in this case, I'm not allowing it because it's just too risky. If you could engage a whole bunch of really good-hearted, intelligent, hardworking people, and they could run themselves into the ground for the benefit of people who will never think twice about taking from them. So we don't allow that particular method of contribution, but that is actually a good thing, even if that feels weird or uncomfortable. Because I know there's a small, tiny fraction of humans who will be like, no, I don't want anything back for doing the right thing. I just want to do the right thing. It's not sustainable. So
Mm.
if that's how you think, like, please come join the protocol and don't worry about the fact that you're getting rewarded. It's a good thing because you're going to do more with that capital than other people would anyways. Like if you are better resourced, you can feed more people. You can take care of more people. So please join the protocol, especially if you're that way.
1,000%. Yeah. And let's keep building towards the common good and essentially, yeah, creating a platform that allows people to be able to have access to things that they typically wouldn't. You know, that's it. And we're here for banked, the underbanked, and the complete people who have no bank at all.
Yeah,
So,
which is a growing percentage of the population. Again, as we mentioned on other videos, like it's a bigger and bigger problem as we proceed. This problem has been getting bigger year over year, and it's probably going to get a lot worse because the corrupt are not going to just go down quietly. They're beginning to kick and scream, and they're going to begin to throw rocks soon, and then things are going to start to get really messy. And I don't think you want to be in a position where you have no way to protect yourself and your loved ones.
yeah, 1,000%. So, yeah, awesome. Awesome, awesome. This was really great. We got to touch on a lot of different topics and go over compliance, why FiatRexa is an amazingly compliant project. Also talk about why you guys shouldn't just get involved in any project simply because there is some sort of figurehead that is there that is recognizable. If the ethos is not properly set, then it's not there. If the compliance is not properly set and these mechanisms are not in the right place, the wallet systems, the smart contracts, these are red flags that you guys should be looking out for at all times. And finally, yeah, become a contributor, guys. Let's make this project something that is amazing. Let's make it something that is powerful, and let's make FiatRexa something that changes the complete DeFi space.
Agreed. Actually, real quick on the compliance thing, just to be like super clear and careful at the same time. Uh, There's banking regulation compliance, there's money transmission compliance, there's like if you are acting as a custodian for things, this is where like a whole bunch of the compliance stuff comes into effect. The whole point, the intent, and I did like say this kind of, but I want to really clarify and reiterate and make a point of this. The intent of the compliance laws is to protect good actors, protect the average person, and to mitigate bad actors. There's the legal requirements of compliance, which centralized entities have to meet, and then there's the protocol, which is way up here. It's far beyond all the compliance requirements that are present in legal terms. Additionally, to reiterate again, because again, this is super important, bad state actors can necessitate bad compliance. If you do not have this protocol functionality in there, a bank that was compliant or is compliant and is doing everything right can suddenly become really bad in order to maintain its regulatory requirements. In order to operate, it might be required to steal from you. It might be required to deny you service. It might be required to do horrible things. With the protocol layer, you keep that in check. So even the centralized entities that integrate into the FiatRexa protocol, those bad actor opportunities are mitigated. So again, it's not just simple compliance and how most people talk about it. It is far deeper. That's it.
No, that's powerful. That's powerful. Yeah, you made it very clear. Compliance is one part piece of paper. Our part is the protocol and the smart contracts and the Oracle systems that we are building, making it a far more robust system that that cannot be just simply taken apart by a few bad actors.
Exactly. I want to really like drive that home because I feel like compliance is insufficient. Like compliance is important, but it is insufficient, and I think not understanding the differentiator there will impede people's ability to understand the value of what we're actually doing. I really want to make sure that that is understood by people. And if something is not clear, like ask questions. Like there's something that I may have not spoken on, or I may have touched on and not given enough in-depth time towards or explanation towards. If you hear something and you're like, oh, that's interesting, like I want to know more about this, ask the question, drop in the Discord, in the comment, anywhere. We will see it eventually. Nee will probably see it first, and then I will hopefully see it shortly after. And we will answer it. And maybe you touch on a subject which we have missed. That's the whole point of the contributor system. More eyeballs, more brains. Together, we're going to be able to do a much better job than any individual ever could. And if you find something, if you spot something, if there's an issue anywhere, let us know. Let's fix it. Let's address it. Maybe we already have and we just haven't talked about it. We haven't made it clear. That's what I hope all the situations are, but inevitably there's going to be something we have actually missed. We just don't know it yet.
Yeah, 1,000%. And that's why the community is so important.
And the
security. So get that in.
Yeah. The fundamental design is assumed that there's going to be mistakes, and no one will ever suffer or lose if there is a mistake. I think that's like knowing that potential is available and ensuring against it is super important. So we're in a good position long term. So we'll see how it goes. Thank you again, Nee, for the time.
No problem, man. Thank you for your time as well. These fireside chats are extremely informative, and I'm sure that the people who are taking in this information and are going to become contributors are going to find a lot of value in this.
Hopefully, I think so. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Well, cheers, guys. This is the end of the fireside chat. We are now logging out.
Peace.
Peace.